My children are athletes from the moment they wake up. They keep playing and learning. So when I pack the new Milo NS snacks into their lunchbox,
Connection established.
And now we are back on I Beg to Differ.
All right. So we have the third set of debaters in the studio with us. They have been seated for almost like 6-7 minutes now, just waiting patiently for our commercial to be done so we can get started. Abuja, welcome to the third set of debate for the day 2 of the round of 16 for Season 2 here in the Federal Capital. And just to let you know that it's Season 8 in Lagos, Season 4 in Port Harcourt, and Season 2 here in the Federal Capital. We're all going to meet in August for the national, and so we're going to send our best debaters to Lagos for the national to represent the Federal Capital. So understand with us that every half mark can count or not at this point in time. My name is Kimberly Wachku. I'm your moderator.
And I am Itodo, the timekeeper.
Yes, and we have our judges in the green room. Our chief judge is Majid Dahiru. He's a researcher, he's a columnist, he's a tech team lead of Luke's Terra Leadership Foundation, ensuring that our numbers are added up properly. And I can see that the complaints are very minimal with the outcome of the result at the end of the day. We also have Fidel Castro, our senior editor here in Nigeria Info, as one of our judges, and standing in for Irene Bangwa, we have Madam Swat Dunia Dalumo, and also helping to put the number. I'm sure Swat rolled out of bed thinking, I'm going to do my show and go back home, and bam, she became a judge.
Extra time.
Yep. That's how we roll here. You never can tell how long your shift will go for. And then we have our partners for season 2, Hamzat Lawal of Connected Development and Follow the Money. We have 313 Bureau de Change. We have Happiness Computers, Kolia Angel Nigeria Limited, who is supporting us with consolation prizes. We'll be hanging out telephone to participants. Those who've been eliminated have been given their consolation prize, courtesy Kolia Angel Nigeria Limited. We also do have the incredible 3J's Hotels and Apartments helping us with the meals, and we have
Creative Fingers, Cakes and Bites in Life Cup.
you took it out of my mouth like Kim. Did Kim forget? How can I forget creative?
So we can have something to give the debaters.
Yes, I mean, all the interesting pastries also have come from them. We'll say a big thank you to all our partners. So we have our debaters taped comfortably, I hope. Let me look at their faces. Ahmed, this one that's you're yawning. Okay, it's Ramadan season, so we understand. But I know it's not going to impact you. As a matter of fact, it should enhance your performance today.
We have OLUWANIFEMI NAANCIN AJAO, who is 14 from Royal Family Academy. And AHMAD TIJANI KHALID, 15 from Scholars Land Academy. And they'll be looking at the topic, Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. Can it?
Just to let you know that we had to bring back Ahmed as our wild card, because even though he lost out in the round of 32, his performance was better than quite a lot of them. So Ahmed returns as a wild card, and he'll be taking on Oluwanifemi Nancin Ajao. All right. And Oluwanifemi is from Royal Family Academy. Ahmed Tijani is from Scholars Land Academy. So, what side are you debating on? Open your papers.
Support the motion.
I beg to differ.
All right. So, Ahmed, just give us your full name and tell us where you stand.
I'm Ahmad Tijani Khalid, and I support the motion.
My name is Nifemi Ajao, and I oppose the motion.
All right, you beg to differ. All right, the motion is Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. Well, let's see how Ahmed will convince us that indeed the economy can thrive without crude oil. Remember, you've got 3 minutes for each of the round. 3 minutes for your presentation, 3 minutes for your rebuttal, 3 minutes for your closing. Just to let you know, your clarity, your diction, your style, your point, how articulate you are, a bit of confidence that you exude, all of these will add up to the numbers at the end of the day. But don't let it put you under any pressure whatsoever.
That's fine.
All right?
And your time starts now.
For decades, Nigeria's economy has been heavily reliant on this finite resource called crude oil. But with evolving global economies and the pressing need for diversification, Nigeria can lead the charge towards a future of sustained economic independence. Good day, distinguished judges, accurate timekeeper, esteemed co-debater, and honorable members of the audience. I'm by name Ahmad Tijani Khalid, a student of Scholars Land Academy, and I am here to expound that Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. To start with, Nigeria is naturally blessed with a wealth of resources. One such cornerstone is agriculture, which has the potential of economic driver. Historically, agriculture has been an economy, and in over 60% of the we are a producer of coal, cassava, and rubber. You know what it means? It means if Valley hands can thrive without crude oil. By investing the agriculture sector, and particularly in the aviations, Nigeria can unlock economic opportunities, which will, in return, GDP, and what that means. Furthermore, another significant sector that Nigeria is with resources from gold to tin to oil to coal. For the several foreign companies have successfully established mining operations in Nigeria and are doing well. And if step into it and growth. The mining sector can sustain the Nigerian economy by creating jobs, generating revenue, and also stabilizing the currency through exchange. Furthermore, additionally, tourism is yet another sector make the Nigeria's economy grow and all serve as a catalyst for this nation reliance on crude. Its rich heritage and tapestry includes historical landmarks and natural wonders. Nigeria is a top destination for tourists is a top destination for tourists from around the world, and we know what that means. If tourists come, it's also generating revenue. Countries like the United Arab Emirates, despite significant oil reserves, much larger than Nigeria, have diversified its economy through tourism. With the Emirates of Dubai, one of the United Arab Emirates, becoming a household name in tourist industry, selling in the ICT sector of making Nigeria economy long crude oil. The ICT contribute a 10.4% to the economy. On a note of finality, Nigeria is to be defined by the ebb and flow of one resource. Thank you.
Felt like Ahmed was just getting started when the bell went off. But
Indeed.
yes, he got his 3 minutes and that's it. Now we turn to Nifemi, who begs to differ that Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil.
And your time starts now.
With it making up most of the government's budget and with Nigeria being the 10th largest shareholder of the world's crude oil reserves, how can her economy thrive without it? Good afternoon, Chairperson, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, my fellow debater and audience. My name is Nifemi Ajao and I'm here today by the mercies of God to argue against the motion that Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. First of all, Nigeria's economy cannot thrive without crude oil, as stopping the export of crude oil would jeopardize Nigeria's trade and diplomatic relationships, spelling doom for her economy. If Nigeria were to stop exporting crude oil, nations that rely on Nigeria's crude oil, such as the United States, India, and several European nations, would be in energy supply crisis. This would lead them to reevaluate trade agreements and possibly cause diplomatic tensions. If Nigeria were to stop exporting crude oil, the nation would be at risk of losing trade with and possibly even starting conflict with other nations, stifling her economy. In addition, Nigeria's economy cannot thrive without crude oil, as the value of the Nigerian naira is highly dependent on it. When crude oil sales and prices increase, the amount of foreign reserve Nigeria has increases, increasing the value of the naira. But when the price of crude oil falls, the amount of foreign reserve Nigeria has also decreases, decreasing the value of the naira. For example, in its 2016 reports, the Central Bank of Nigeria stated that the reduced prices of crude oil led to reduced foreign exchange reserves, directly impacting the value of the naira. With a currency so firmly tied to the value of crude oil, the economy cannot thrive without it. Furthermore, Nigeria's economy cannot thrive without crude oil, as the government revenue is highly dependent on it. 65% of government revenue comes from crude oil sales, meaning that without crude oil, Nigeria would have less than 2/5 of the amount of money it does to fund things such as infrastructure, education, healthcare, and other services that a thriving economy relies on. So if the government revenue and by attachment economy of Nigeria are so heavily reliant on crude oil, the economy cannot thrive without it. In relation, Nigeria's economy cannot thrive without crude oil, as the nation has little to no access to suitable investment. Any effort to untie the nation's economy from crude oil would require heavy investment, but it would be unpreferable for it to be in the form of loans, as that would only increase the nation's debt, and it also should not be in the form of foreign aid, as for such a long-term project as separating Nigeria's economy from crude oil, that would lead to foreign aid dependency and would spell disaster for development if such foreign aid were to be stopped. But other forms of investment are being...
Senior, you feel like they have so many points. You know, some days you come here and then the debaters are leaving you with 2 minutes extra and you're wondering why so generous. Use up your time already. And today it just feels like, boy, we're just getting started. All right, we've gone through their presentation. We started with Ahmed to Nifemi on Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. So let's get to the rebuttal. Ahmed, are you ready?
Your time starts now.
Standing on the already existing protocols, I notice that my opponents' arguments are like a flash of cards. They may seem very impressive, but are very fragile. My opponents argue that stopping crude oil will spell doom for Nigeria. Stopping it will not spell doom for Nigeria, as Nigeria has many other sectors to fall back on. If Nigeria should stop thriving on crude oil, the mining sector is there to support Nigeria's economy, the agricultural sector, the ICT sector, and even the energy sector. My opponents argue that stopping Nigeria's crude oil will spoil the diplomatic relations with countries like USA and Germany. Do you know that these countries are the real cause of Nigeria's problems? There are companies in Nigeria making money. The Shell BP, which is one of the largest producer of petroleum in Nigeria, is a British company. They are making quick money for Nigeria, and they are still using our money to give us loan. And they're still using our money to give us loan. You argue that the Naira depends on the crude oil. The Naira does not solely depend on crude oil. Foreign exchange reserves, which can be generated from the agricultural sector and also from the mining sector, can still stabilize the Naira. Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. And also argue that if Nigeria should stop relying on crude oil, it will only be foreign aids and loan. Not everything will be foreign aids and loan. We have many sectors to depend on. The agricultural sector, as I mentioned earlier, and even geothermal energy. Nigeria's location with an average daylight, with an average sun, with a daily sun of at least 6 hours a day, is already there to back up Nigeria by falling back on clean energy. In conclusion, I would like to thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ahmed Tijani Khalid. He's 15 from Scholars Land Academy. Supports the motion. Nifemi, it's your turn now for your rebuttal.
And your time starts now.
You stated that my opponent stated that Nigeria's agricultural sector employs over 60% of the population, and so can be relied on instead of crude oil. However, yes, it employs over 60% of the population, but again, over 60% of the population are stated to be living below the poverty line. So while it employs them, does it actually give them a living? Also, you stated that mining can also that the mining sector in Nigeria can help to stabilize the currency. However, the mining sector has not been established thoroughly enough to stabilize the currency to the level that crude oil does. Also, my opponent stated that tourism can help for the Nigerian economy to thrive without crude oil. However, we have to note that with Nigeria being the eighth highest ranked country on the global rank for terrorism, how are tourists meant to come here? For an example of such a case being with the Sukur cultural landscape that was closed down due to terrorist attacks. And also, my opponent stated that the ICT sector contributed 10.4% to Nigeria's GDP, but that 10.4% is not enough for Nigeria to depend on enough to leave crude oil. My opponent also stated that Nigeria has other sectors to fall back on. Might I remind you that 65% of the government's revenue comes from crude oil. So what exactly are they falling back on? Less than 2/5 of the budget that they had before, which already is not enough. Then my opponent also stated that the countries stopping the export of crude oil would stop relationships with, also take money from us. But this does not stop us from being this does not change the fact that we are dependent on them, getting over about 70% of our goods from other countries. My opponent also stated that we can get foreign reserves from other places. However, over 90% of our export value comes from crude oil, meaning that foreign reserves currently makes up about 8% of what we currently have, making those other sectors little to nothing to fall on. Also, my opponent said that I stated we would not only rely on foreign aid and loans. I would like to clarify that was not what I stated. I said that for any efforts to make the
All right. So there you have it with the rebuttals done, dusted. We'll put up a poll on X, that is Twitter, at Nigeria Info ABJ. We want you to go there and let us know what you make of their performance so far, their argument, their presentation, their confidence, the points they've made from the opening to the rebuttal and the closing. If you're late to the party, you can just share your opinion with us there on X. You see the post up, just simple yes or no, who you think is leading this round of the debate. And also leave us your comment on YouTube and Facebook at Nigeria Info Abuja. You get all the highlights and the BTS on our Instagram handle at Nigeria Info FM Abuja. So we'll get to the closing now, and they've got 3 minutes each to wow us and convince us. If there's any shadow of doubt lurking in your mind at this point in time, hopefully they'll be able to clear that and convince you 100 that their side of the argument is superior. Naya Madu, we see you applauding them. Chinwe Ogboja says this student came prepared, to both of them. I love their confidence. I love their composure. This is refreshing. Naya kept on clapping. Feels like a standing ovation at this point in time. So, Ahmed.
Yes, ma'am.
Your thoughts all put together nicely?
Yes,
Are you ready for your closing?
Yes, ma'am.
Your time starts now.
In conclusion, I would like to add to my point earlier on. The solar energy, which is one of the greatest assets Nigeria can have due to its geological location in the Sahara, with an average daily sunlight of at least 6 hours, if properly harnessed, can revert Nigeria back to clean energy, and also parting ways with the current energy we use, that is fossil fuels. Also, the Nigerian location provides it with a lot of geothermal energy, which are needed in most countries to survive. Arguing on tourism, my opponent argued that the high rate of insecurity in Nigeria is a significant threat to tourists. I don't think so, because tourists will come to a nation when they know it's not secured. Some tourists are well prepared to escape any insecurity, and that cannot hinder tourism, thriving in Nigeria. On a note of submission and finality, I would like to state that Nigeria is too blessed to rely or be controlled by the ebb and flow of one resource. Together, the above-mentioned sectors of the economy can truly make the nation thrive without relying on crude oil and making the dream of a crude-free economy a reality. Thank you.
So we've got Ahmed's closing. Ahmed TIJANI KHALID, 15-year-old from Scholars Land Academy, supports the motion that Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. We'll give Nifemi Naanci Ajao, 14, from Royal Family Academy, her moment. And you've got 3 minutes.
Your time starts now.
Just to make a few clarifications, I did not state that the nation would rely only on loans. I stated that for any efforts to be made to separate the nation's economy from crude oil, to develop these sectors that you say we can rely on, heavy investment would be made, and that is not available because loans cause debt. Foreign aid leads to dependency, and direct investment is unavailable due to insecurity and instability of the markets, causing investors to leave the country, with 35.2% of direct investment being lost in Q1 of 2024 alone due to increased operational costs. Also, Nigeria does not rely on crude oil just as an energy source. It relies on crude oil for 92% of the value of its export. And almost all of its foreign reserves. And my opponent also stated that insecurity will not stop tourism. Would you bring your family on a holiday where they are likely to be killed? So Nigeria's government revenue, export value, currency, and diplomatic relationships, things its economy needs to thrive, rely on crude oil. If the things that Nigeria's economy need to thrive rely on crude oil, then how can Nigeria's economy thrive without it? So while some may believe that with a little investment, with a little diversification, Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil, such investment is either unavailable due to high operational costs in Nigeria, or is highly likely to be mismanaged. An example of such being mismanagement of funds by the Department for Health and Planning Research and Statistics between 2010 and 2014, where 77% of the funds that were used for service delivery were involved in some form of fraud. Other people may believe that Nigeria's economy can imitate the success stories of other nations, but Nigeria lacks certain key factors such as investment, proper effective governance, and security that were needed for these nations to develop. So with the factors needed for Nigeria's economy to thrive being heavily reliant on crude oil, and the things needed to separate Nigeria's economy from crude oil being lacking in the nation, we can undoubtedly come to the conclusion that Nigeria's economy cannot thrive without crude oil.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've had all the arguments, their closing, their rebuttal, their presentation. They've all been presented to us and the judges. We'd get to first hear from our addiction judge, Olivia. Any observations?
Yes. So I'll start with you, Khalid. Well done. So when you have a word ending with AL, and then if it also ends with ALLY, the AL last syllable takes the weak sound. So you don't say historical, like you said, you say historical, and also historically. So you also called your opponent, okay? That word is opponent. And then you said conclusion, it is conclusion. With that, you got a 2.5 overall for your diction. And then OLUWANIFEMI, over to you. The word is preferable. So when you're using if you're adding the affix UN, it'll be unpreferable. However, it's even better to say less preferable or less desirable. With that, you get, that being the only word, actually, that I observed you mispronounce. You got a hard 3.
All right. That's it from our diction judge right now. Maybe some comments while we wait for the returning officer to come through.
All right, then. So let's look at some of the comments you've sent in. Mohammed Aziz says, I think we have brilliant kids to win this year's edition in Lagos. Oh, bring your shoulders down, my brother. But yes, I would only say yes at this point in time. And Sami says, go, Nifemi. All right. Naya Madhu says, well done to the debaters in the studio. Kusanyang, we see you also. And Dam Baba Shehu said, these guys are fantastic head-to-head. They both are great. We are blessed in Nigeria. Adewale Ajao, we see you. We see you as a cheerleader and says, go girl. Kusan, I read your message, says, great work to both of them. Williams Peter says, wow.
All right, looking at what's happening on Facebook right here. Abubakar Ali says, I don't know if it's my network over here in Nasarawa State. The transmission is breaking, but the students really have their ante up. is what he shares. Ojime Cyprian Confidence says, I love this. So do we. If you haven't got any word from this debate so far, based on the correction of our diction judge, education and opponent are those words that you should catch and hold on to and improve on your vocabulary as well. But pretty interesting so far with the corrections and getting the right words while making sentences or statements.
All right, and many countries are generating a lot from crude oil, and this is why countries are clashing at the Conference of Parties, the COP, about funding of climate change, says G-Man. Agriculture used to be the mainstay of the Nigerian economy. All oil revenue is gradually giving way with the emphasis on net zero and renewable energy sources, says Mr. G, dropping some more solid points there. Ngozi from Apo says, wish the both of them success. I loved your presentation and I'm truly rooting for them. And says, well, the lady though, left it at that. So we'll let the judges put the numbers together, the last set of debaters for today. And would have two sets join us tomorrow. I can't speak for Thursday. Might be 3, might be not, but we'll get to know from the secretariat what we would have tomorrow.
Looking at the comments on our X page, we have a poll ongoing as well, so you can go on there and vote. The numbers are looking really interesting. So far, 15 people have voted, and
what are they saying? I need to go see it. Go check it out.
67 over 33%.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Serious? 67 over 33?
Yes.
I want to believe they are voting from one school.
Well, the lady, Ubelema right here sharing his thoughts. Proud of both of them. Okay. Good to know.
I see it.
At Belema AHMAD on X.
I see it now. All right. Quite interesting. 16 votes, 68.8% and 31.3% right now. And the returning officer has returned.
Please proceed. Thank you very much.
All right, so the third motion. Right, Ahmed, testament that Nigeria can live without crude oil. And Ahmed, your resistance score aggregates 8.5. Your rebuttal score aggregate is 7. Your closing score aggregate is 6.5. In your style of presentation, the aggregate is what? 21?
21.
In total, you got 43. Nifemi, who begs to differ that Nigeria's economy can thrive without crude oil. In our presentation, aggregate, you got a 7. In your rebuttal, the aggregate is a 6. Your closing was a 5.5. And your style of presentation, 20. In total, you got 38.5. So it means that Ahmed Tijani Khalid gets to the quarterfinals. Congratulations to you, from wild card to one who is going with your flag flying to the quarterfinal. Nifemi with 38.5. Well, at this point in time, I would say it's a pause for now. And, we'll get to see how the points tally among those who lost out. And if you make a return or not, we can't say for now. But at this moment, it feels like you're out of the race. So, Nifemi Ajao from Royal Family Academy, well, congratulations to you for participating. And you would get a consolation prize courtesy Kolia Angel Nigeria Limited. Ahmed Khalid, you get to know when you come back for the round of 8, which is the quarterfinal. All right, so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being a part of the debate. To our judges, Majid Dahiru, to Swat Dunia Adalumo, to Fidel Castro, and Olivia Osai, our diction judge. We say a very big thank you. To our sponsors, Hamzat Lawa, Connected Development and Follow the Money, to 313 Bureau de Change, to Happiness Computers, Kolia Angel Nigeria Limited, to 3J's Hotels and Apartment, to Creative. You love to jump in here.
And Bites and Livecom.
Yeah,
and to Number One Hotel.
Number One Hotel. Thank you very much for sponsoring and partnering with us on season 2 of the debate. We'll do this again tomorrow, 3 p.m. Oh, don't go anywhere though. There's a lot to talk about on Hard Facts, so please stick around. Oh, thanks to the team. Somi the billionaire.
Benga?
And yeah, Benga.
Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy. Thank you very much.
Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ student debate tournament is now in the round of 16. And we're shaking things up. Some of the best losers are back as wildcards. Ready to prove they belong in the competition. But from this